to warn church members, because according to what I heard, there are so many people in the church that are pastor that are culprits to the very same errors. And if they're not warned, they're going to go to hell. Is there a possibility to have another chance to go and warn believers? Because in several churches where I have been able to minister around the world, I have seen Christians who are guilty of the same. Could it be that there are many Christians in churches today who are going to hell even without knowing? Could there be a possibility that I be given another chance to go back into the earth and warn the body of Christ? And at this time, at that point, the person laid me now to my grave. Until this time, I had seen my body lying in a casket with family members and friends and so many people surrounding it, but I had not seen my grave. He now leads me to where my grave is, and he speaks to the builders who had now finished my grave, and he tells them to destroy it. I saw with my eyes earth, mortar, bricks, everything being dumped into that grave that was already built. He commanded that it be destroyed, and it was filled like there was never a grave in the first place. And now he leads me from the burial place towards the tents where the mourners were. Before we arrived where the mourners were, he left me. I continued by myself, and I got back into my body, got on my feet, and now I begin to talk to the mourners. I said, hey, listen what God has told me to tell you. My voice.
You are watching BGPtv, the Father's Heart. Obadde okimanyi nti osobola okufuna event planner and manager okuteekerateekera omukolo gwo gwonna, kati osobola okumufuna nga mulokole obutafuna stress yonna. BGPevents be bantu abatuufu. Oyagala kekisi, ebifaananyi ebirungi ne video, motoka z'abagole mu bika eby'enjawulo, kyangu tukuyambe. Tukola decoration ali ku mulembe, tulina bridal gowns ne changing wear, obutebe, tents, abafumbi abalungi, saako PA system, ekyuma ekisunsula obulungi. Ate nga tukulira ne budget y'omukolo gwo ejja mu nsawo yo. Saakuba ushers baffe abali smart, abataswaza mukolo gwo, n'abogezi b'emikolo abalungi bakatumwa, ate nga tusobola n'okufunira reception y'omukolo gwo. Kati oyagala suuti, makanzu agatwalibwa ku buko oba gomesi, tubikufunira ku bisale ebirungi. BGPevents bwetegeka omukolo, tukuleetera n'abayimbi abasanyusa abagenyi bo, saako kola selection y'ennyimba ezigendera ku mukolo gwo. Esimu 07758683 oba tusange Facebook page yaffe oba Twitter, YouTube ne Instagram. Blessed Charles, Blessed Gospel Promotions. BGPevents, twewaayo for excellence, flexibility, time, integrity and hard working. BGPevents, likinga, subscribinga, oba ogoberere era oyanirize n'omulala. You are watching BGPtv, the Father's Heart.
Hello everyone. My name is Joshua Godfrey Kutesa, the pastor of the Shiloh City Church here in Uganda, Africa. Beloved, ladies and gentlemen, I have a message from the Lord, specifically to the body of Christ. Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, I had a visitation from God. I had an encounter. I had a dream. In this dream, I was dead, and my body had been transported to my burial place, my ancestral burial place, where my father, mother, and some of my siblings who went to be with the Lord are buried. In heaven, I was received by someone whose face I did not see, but I felt the glory. I felt such a sweet presence around him. Being with him felt like nothing I could imagine. words would fail me if I tried to articulate the feeling and the presence with this person. I did not see the face. I do not know who he was. But I know that in his hands was a file, was a document that contained my works in the earth. How did I know that? Did he mention that to me? No, he did not. But I want you to remember that while you're in heaven, you are allowed, you get to know so many things without you being told of. That is why I was able to know that the file and the document that he had contained my works in the earth. With him, we were headed somewhere that I do not know. In journey, we ran into a pastor friend of mine that we worked with so many years ago in my mother church. His name is Charis Rambarali. When I saw him, he was all chubby. He was all beautiful. There was such a glory emanating from his body. In the natural, he was skinny, he was dark-skinned, and he was tall. But when I saw him in heaven, he was so glorious. He was chubby. He looked so beautiful. When he saw me with a smile, he said, "Joshua, you're here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for fighting, and thank you for persevering. Thank you for fighting, and thank you for persevering." And then he said, "Well, I'm still running a few errands. But the good thing is, you are going to be brought to where we are." So he continued in his journey as we continued in ours with the person that I was with, in whose hands was a document containing my works in the earth. As we were progressing in journey, we came to a place that I learned was a courthouse. How do you know that? According to the proceedings of that place, the voices that came out of that place. There were so many people that were being brought to that place who had just died in the earth. I had a voice say to one, "Hey, when you were in the earth, you said you were occupied with your job. You said you are very busy. You worked Monday to Monday, and you did not have time for your God. You did not have time for your church. You did not have time for the house of God. Get away from my presence. Take him away from my presence." In a split of a second, I would hear them being whisked away without saying anything, without apologizing. Then I had the voice speak to another person, said, "You, while you were in the earth, every one of your prayers were answered. Every one of your dreams you achieved. Everything that you ever imagined to have, I gave you. But when you received everything, you forgot your God. You turned your back on your God. Get away from my presence," the voice said. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that voice was so painful. The tone that said it, the wrath that came with that voice, it was so painful to hear that. Then I had the voice say to this person, this one was a woman. The voice said to her, "While you were in the earth, you always said how you had problems, how you had challenges. You were always murmuring and complaining. You said you had issues. Every time your church members, every time your fellow believers asked you to participate in missions, in ministry, in church activities, you said you have a lot going on. You said you have a lot of issues. You had a lot of problems, and you asked to be pardoned. You did not engage in church activity. Get away from my presence," the voice said. Ladies and gentlemen, that was so painful. I don't have words to tell how painful that voice was. It was so painful to hear that. Then I had the voice say to another person, this was a woman as well. The voice told her, "When you were in the earth, I planted you in this church. I gave you a shepherd. I gave you a shepherd. It was under this shepherd that you were supposed to bear fruit and mature into this." At that point, this woman was shown what she was supposed to become had she stayed under the shepherd that God had given her. God had selected, had given her a shepherd. And if she had stayed under that shepherd, God now shows her, the voice showed her what she would have ultimately become had she stayed under that shepherd. And the voice said, because of offenses, because of gossip, because of rumors, because of unfounded issues, you decided to leave your place. And it is for that reason that you did not finish your assignment. Take her away from my presence, the voice said. My God, in a split of a second, I would hear them being whisked away without giving their side of the story. And the last voice spoke to a lady who was in her early 30s, like 31, 32, 33. The voice told her, look at your apartment. Look at your apartment in the earth. See how clean it is. See how decorated it is. Do you see how you filled your house with expensive and beautiful things? While in the earth, the voice asked this young lady, while in the earth, did you take time to make sure that the house of your God is as clean as your house? Did you take time while you're in the earth to make sure that the house of your God is up to par like your house? Did you fill the house of your God with nice and expensive things like you filled your house? Take her away from my presence, the voice told her. And at that time, ladies and gentlemen, I fainted. I could not continue in journey. I felt like I was losing it. I was like, oh my God. Could it be that there are so many Christians in the world who are going to be taken to hell just like these individuals? Because according to what I heard, these were Christians who neglected their call, who left their positions. These were Christians who were reluctant about God's assignment. And so I turned to the person that was leading me. I said, is it possible? It was so painful. I said, is it possible to be given another opportunity to go back into the earth, to warn Christians, to warn church members? Because according to what I heard, there are so many people in the church that I pastor that are culprits to the very same errors. And if they're not warned, they're going to go to hell. Is there a possibility to have another chance to go and warn believers? Because in several churches where I have been able to minister around the world, I have seen Christians who are guilty of the same. Could it be that there are many Christians in churches today who are going to hell even without knowing? Could there be a possibility that I be given another chance to go back into the earth and warn the body of Christ? And at this time, at that point, the person laid me now to my grave. Until this time, I had seen my body lying in a casket with family members and friends and so many people surrounding it, but I had not seen my grave. He now leads me to where my grave is, and he speaks to the builders who had now finished my grave, and he tells them to destroy it. I saw with my eyes earth, mortar, bricks, everything being dumped into that grave that was already built. He commanded that it be destroyed, and it was filled like there was never a grave in the first place. And now he leads me from the burial place towards the tents where the mourners were. Before we arrived where the mourners were, he left me. I continued by myself, and I got back into my body, got on my feet, and now I begin to talk to the mourners. I said, hey, listen what God has told me to tell you. My voice was faint because I believe I had been dead for a few days. My sister called Maria, who had lost a brother, now beckons the mourners with a voice that was audible enough. She said, hey, Pastor is alive. Come and hear what he has given him to the body of Christ. And when she said that, I came out of that dream. I was like, oh my God, what is this? Ladies and gentlemen, it is for that reason that I'm doing this video, to warn the elect. This is for the body of Christ, believers. You need to understand that being a Christian is a call. You do not come to church because a friend, a colleague, a family member invited you. You come to church because God drew you. John 6:44, Jesus said, no one can come to me except my Father has drawn them. For you to be a Christian, for you to be in church, you have been drawn by God. And that is a responsibility for you to be drawn by the Father. Paul in Romans 8:28, and to them which are the called according to the purposes of God. Now we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, and to them which are the called according to the purposes of God. Now you need to recognize, in this world are a people referred to as the called. There are people, and I believe that you fall in that category, called the called, referred to as the called. Romans 1:7, Paul writes to those that are in Rome. He says, to all that are in Rome, the beloved, that have a calling to be saints. Rome was not a religious territory. It was a territory of idolaters. But in that region were a people called the beloved, were a people beloved, and a people who had a calling to be saints. Now you need to understand, for you to be a saint is a calling, is a responsibility. And the responsibility is to contend, is to work for the faith. Jude 1:3. He writes, Jude, who is the stepbrother of Jesus Christ, writes to Christians and said, I thought about writing to you about our common salvation, but then I felt a need. I felt an urgency to exhort you, to encourage you to contend for the faith that was delivered unto us, the saints, that was delivered unto us, the saints. Now you need to understand that the faith there is not a virtue, it is a movement. It is the church that has been delivered to us, the saints. The work of God, or the church, is a project that started in the wilderness. Acts 7:38 talks about the church in the wilderness. Now you recognize the church has started way back in the wilderness. But how has the church been able to survive in spite of the many adversaries, the many enemies, in spite of Lucifer trying to finish the church? The church started way back in the wilderness, and it has survived until now. The reason is because in every generation, God calls a people he refers to as the called, the saints, whose responsibility is to work for the church, is to contend for the faith, is to defend the church, to be available, to be sendable, to be involved in ministry, to serve, not to warm the pews, not to attend church without doing anything. If we complain about struggles, about pain, then we have disappointed God. When God planted you in this generation, he knew that you're a rock, because God builds upon the rock. He said to Peter, he said, Peter, you are a rock, and upon this rock I will build my church. When God chose you, he saw a rock. He saw one that is dependable. He chose you with a storm in mind. He chose you with winds blowing in mind. That's why he chose you. When you disappoint him and you keep talking about how you're going through a lot, how you cannot serve because you're going through challenges, if you leave your position, in the book of Jude talks about angels who left their positions. It's a very terrible thing for you to leave your position. And lastly, if we seek our own good, in the book of Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah talks to Baruch. Baruch is an individual with a very incredible family history. His father was a leader in Israel. Baruch, in fact, was one of the most educated men in his days. No wonder he's Jeremiah's penman. He's Jeremiah's secretary. He helps Jeremiah to transcribe his messages. And with all that, Baruch thought to achieve great things for himself. And now all of a sudden he hears God talking about destroying Israel. And God tells him, Baruch was so disappointed. He's like, woe unto me, because now God is destroying the country. And yet he had this dream of becoming great. And God warns him, Jeremiah 45, Baruch, do not seek great things for yourself. When we seek great things for ourselves and neglect the assignment, it is not bad for you to seek great things for ourselves. But if we seek great things at the expense of the assignment, at the expense of the church, if we neglect the church, we cannot do more meetings, we cannot do more missions, no more crusades, no more soul winnings, and everybody's looking at how they can achieve another house, a good car, a nice vacation, then we have failed God. The church is under attack. People have left their positions. People are murmuring about going through problems, a world in peril. Yes, God knows this generation. He knew that it was not going to be easy, but he selected you. And it's for that reason that I'm here to make this video. Please, I want to help you. I want to challenge you. Go back to your position. There's no time for despondency anymore. Arise. Let's build the church of God. And finally, I want to ask you, please help me share this video. When you see this video, please help me share it. Make sure that it reaches as many people as possible. With this video, we can save many. God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You are watching BGPtv, the Father's Heart.
Abooluganda mukama waffe yeebazibwe. Kansubire nti mwenna muli bulungi. Amannya Joshua Godfrey Kuteesa nga ndi musumba ku Shallow City Church. Nafunye obubaka bwajjidde mu kirooto bwenzikiriza nti bukulu eri omubiri gwa Kristo. Obubaka buno nabadde nfudde. Ensonga y'okufa kwange saagitegedde. Naye at this point omubiri gwange gwabadde gutwaliddwa ewaffe gye banzaala e Masaka nga bateekateeka kunziika. The place was filled. Wabadde wajjuddewo weema nnyingi, buli weema ng'ekubyeko. There were so many people. There was so much activity. Abambuka, abakkirira, abakaaba, abalya, abanywa, oluyogaano nga lungi. Newankubadde nga nabadde nfudde, gye nabadde nsobola okulengera ebigenda mu maaso ku nsi, ne ku lumbe lwange nga nnengera abantu nabiki ebigenda mu maaso. Gye nabadde nayaniriziddwa omuntu ate ayogedde nange ate gwe ssaalabye, naye nabadde mwagala. Okubeerawo kwe kwabadde kunyuma. His presence felt so good. We nabadde mpulira bulungi. Amaaso ge saagalabye. But he had a file. Yabadde alina file, a document. It's like a parcel. Gye nategedde ng'erimu ebikolwa byange. Teyakiŋŋambye, but while you're there, oba osobola okutegeera ebintu ebitakubuuliddwa. I knew that the document he had erimu ebinkwatako, and we were headed somewhere. Gye saategedde twabadde tutambula. I felt good. The place was beautiful. Nga newankubadde nabadde nnengera omubiri gwange ku nsi, n'ab'emikwano, n'abafamire, nga sirinaayo regrets oba wishes whatsoever, nti nve gye nabadde ndi nkomewo nnyingira omubiri, we nabadde njagalawo. Ne tutambula mpola mpola. Twabadde tutambula ne tusisinkana omusumba yafa emyaka nga 6 egiyise. Twakolanga naye ku prayer palace, bamuyita Cherise Lwambalaali. Yazze nga musanyufu with a chubby face. Gye simulabanga nayo wano ku nsi. Yabadde musanyufu. The face was glowing. His whole body was glorious. Sirina bigambo mu vocabulary yange kunnyonnyola obulungi bwe yabadde alabika. kwe kuŋŋamba nti musumba otuuse, weebale kuwangula. Ebyo ebigambo yabizzeemu n'essanyu nga njozaayoza. Weebale kuwangula. Kwe kuŋŋamba ti kaakati nno mbadde nina gye ndaga, nina bye nkola, naye kasita bakuleeta eno gye tuli, tujja kunyumya edda ne tuyisiŋŋanya ne yeeyongerayo naffe ne tugenda. Twabadde tugenda nga simanyi gye ndaga, naye byonna nga mbyagala. Ne tutuuka mu kifo we nategedde nti waabaddewo a courthouse, kooti. Tebaŋŋambye, naye I heard the proceedings, ebyabadde biva mu kifo ekyo, nga kiraga nti abantu babadde bajja kumuukumu nga babasalira wa gye balina okugenda. Bw'otuuka, in a split of a second, your verdict is decided. Ekiddako kiba kisaliddwawo. Mube nawulidde newankubadde nga baabadde bangi. Eyasoose gwe nasoose okuwulira bamugambye nti gwe bw'obadde ku nsi obadde ogamba nti emirimu gikumalawo era oli bize nnyo, okola nnyo, tewafunayo kadde kaweereza Katonda, kubanga obadde ogamba nti okola nnyo, toyina biseera, mande oli bize. Bakutwala eno. Ekigambo ekyo bakutwala eno nga kijjirako entiisa. Omulala nti gwe wasaba buli kyonna kye wali oyagala era n'okiweebwa, naye bwe wafuna buli kye wasaba ne weerabira Katonda n'otamuweereza. Bakutwala eno. Omulala gw'obadde ogamba buli kaseera nti olina ebizibu, olina emitawaana, era buli lwe babadde bakkubira abooluganda okubaako bye weenyigiramu n'okubaako by'okola ku kkanisa, ng'oga nti gwe olina woyita, olina by'oyitamu bakuleke. Bakutwala eno. Omulala nti gwe wasimbibwa mu kkanisa eyo. Ekkanisa mwe wasimbibwa mwe walina okubalira ebibala, mwe walina okufuukira kye wateekebwateekebwa okubeera, naye olw'obusonga obutaliimu weesittala, n'onyiiga, ne weefundikira, n'omaliriza ng'ovudde mu kifo kye wateekebwamu. Bakutwala eno. Gwe nasembye okuwulira yabadde mwana muwala, kubanga newankubadde nga sirabayo mu courthouse, naye nabadde nsobola okutegeera nti oyo musajja, oyo mukazi, oyo muwala, oyo mwana. Ono yabadde mwana muwala. Ne bamugamba nti gwe laba ku nsi gy'ovudde, laba apartment yo. Ono yabadde talina nnyumba, she was a renter. Ne bamugamba laba apartment yo, wagijjuza buli kalungi konna, wagitonaatona. Ennyumba ya Katondawo wagiteekamu ki? Wagitonanga eyo bw'obadde ogitonye. Bakutwala eno. Bwe nawulidde ebyo, kwe kugamba oyo yabadde ankulembera newankubadde nga simulaba mu bwenyi, ti naye abantu bano be basalira omusango, abasindikibwa eyo wagenda okubeera okukaaba n'okuluma obujiji, nga ebibavunaanwa byebyo byendaba mu kkanisa bulijjo. Sinakindi abantu bendese mu kkanisa oba abo abagenze okunziika tebamalirizanga nabo bagenze mu kifo ekyo kitali kyakwesiima, kubanga mu be basalira siwuliramu misango minene. Mpulira abalinga abalonde abaagayaalirira okuyitibwa kwabwe. Oba oli awo bampeeyo omwagaanyi omulala gumu nzireeyo ku nsi, ndabula abalonde abayite, ndabula abo ab'ekkanisa, ndabula abo abazze okunziika, mbagambe nti ebintu bino bye tukola biyinza okukumaliriza nga bikututte mu geyeena. Bwe namusabye ebigambo ebyo, nankulembera nantwala ewabadde entaana. All this while nabadde entaana saagirabye, naye nalabye mu luggi ewabadde omulambo. Nantwala ku ntaana. Ku ntaana nasanzeyo kojjange, yabadde akaaba nti omwana wa mwannyinaze. Ne tweyongerayo. Wabaddewo abazimbi, nga waliwo n'omuntu gwe nawulidde eddoboozi naye ng'obwenyi bwe saabulabye, ng'alabika yabadde mukristaayo wa mu kkanisa, ng'agamba nti nze neeyamye buli kinaakola ekinaamaliriza entaana ya musumba nze nja okukikola, nja kuteekako mabbo, nja gitonaatona. For the first time eyabadde ankulembera kwe kuvaamu eddoboozi, n'agamba ababadde bazimba entaana nga bagimaliriza nti ono mwabadde muteeseteese kumuziika ene wasemba, kubanga ekijja kyabadde kirabika nga kijjudde, nga bantadde eri wansi n'abaga nti ono newankubadde mwana mu luggya naye mubadde mulina muziika eno waggulu, kale entaana ye mugiziike. Mu baagiziise ne bagijuzaamu ettaka mwabaddemu Eric Lubega. Bwe baagiziise nenva ku ntaana nga njolekera ewali abantu naye eyabadde ankulembera awo eyambuliddeko, ne nnyingira mu mubiri ne ntandika okuyita abantu nti abange mujje muwulire Katonda by'aŋŋambye. Eddoboozi lyange lyabadde koowu, wabaddewo omukyala mwannyinaze bamuyita Maria, n'atandika okuyita abange mujje muwulire. Bwe yabayise nenva mu kirooto. Bassebo ne bannyabo, obubaka bwe nnina bwe buno. Tuyinza okubeera mu kkanisa ng'oli mulokole, naye ng'ebintu bye tukola olwaleero bisobola okututwazisa mu geyeena, okwesittala, okwenyiiza, okwefundikira, okuva mu bifo byaffe. Yuda ayogera ku bamalayika abaava ku bifo byabwe nti era bateekeddwa okusalirwa omusango. Katonda yatuyita okuzimba ekkanisa mu buli mulembe, okuviira ddala ku ntandikwa Katonda abadde azimba ekkanisa. Okuva ebikola by'Abatume essuula ey'omusanvu ayogera ku oyo yali mu kkanisa y'omu ddungu waliyo ekkanisa. Era bw'oba osomye mu Exodus, Katonda agamba Musa okuzimba weema y'okusinkaniramu. Era waliwo abantu, si bonna mu miliyoni 2, si bonna, naye waliwo abantu abaakwatibwa. Ku Bible egamba whose spirits stirred them. They gave bracelets, rings, anklets and gold. Ekkanisa nezimbwa mu buli mulembe. Waliwo abantu Katonda baalonda nti bwe balina okuzimba ekkanisa mu buli mulembe. Waliwo abantu. Y'ensonga lwaki ekkanisa ebaddewo n'okutuusa olwaleero. Mu biseera bya Dawudi ne Sulemani era tulaba abantu abazimba ekkanisa. Ne ku guno omulembe waliwo abantu Katonda be yalonda nga be balina okugizimba. Si bizimbe byokka naye okuzimba n'abantu, okugibezaawo. Yuda ayogera agamba nti abooluganda nayagala okubawandiikira ku bigambo by'obulokozi, naye agamba nti naye I felt the need to exhort you to contend for the faith. The faith there is not a virtue, naye the faith there is the movement, is the church. Wateekwa okubaawo abantu abalwanirira abakolera ekkanisa. Naye bwe tubeera mu mulembe guno ne tusavuwala ne twekwasa ne twefundikira, olowooza singa abaatusooka bekkiriranya ekkanisa twaligisanzeewo. Mbakubiriza abooluganda, ekirooto kyabadde kyantiisa. Fumiitiriza ku odi eno ate naawe ogiweereza omulala. Badde Joshua Godfrey wano kuteesa. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala. God bless you. Bye bye.
Bagenda buziba awulatuka mu maaso g'Omukama. tulaba ebitalabika ebyewuunyiseeyo mu biwonvu emigga gano gayanja enjazi n'ebyewalula bye tulaba ebya buli kika ky'omunseeyo wate abantu n'ebika n'ennimi we wabitegeka ate gwe n'obawulira bonna buli omu n'olulimi lwe mu nsi ye neewuunya ekitiibwa kyo n'amaanyi misukkuluma ebiragiro by'oku mwezi n'enjuba byegoberera luli walagira omuyaga ku mazzi nagwo ne gukuwulira kwe kuteeka ate ab'omusolo bwe bakukwata n'abayigirizwa wasesemye ekyennyanja eddinaali olina ntame gwankusinza wasasula wayitirira Katonda yatonda enseno watonda amasano webwekitiibwa wabikola ebyonna bye tulaba n'ebitalabika oyogera sirina buyini komukisa gwa mukama kwampadde nkimanyi.
Obadde okimanyi nti osobola okufuna event planner and manager okuteekerateekera omukolo gwo gwonna kati osobola okumufuna nga mulokole obutafuna stress yonna.
Kaŋŋaanye si kifuluma.
BGPevents be bantu abatuufu oyagala kekisi ebifaananyi ebirungi ne vidiyo mmotoka z'abagole mu bika eby'enjawulo. Kyangu tukuyambe tukola decoration ali ku mulembe, tulina bridal gowns ne changing wear, obutebe, tents, abafumbi abalungi saako PA system, ekyuma ekisunsula obulungi.
Omukolo sawasaliza.
Ate nga tukulira ne bajeti y'omukolo gwo ejja mu nsawo yo. Saakuba ushers baffe abali smart abataswaza mukolo gwo n'abogezi b'emikolo abalungi bakatumwa ate nga tusobola n'okufunira reception y'omukolo gwo. Kati oyagala suuti, makanzu agatwalibwa ku buko oba gomesi, tubikufunira ku bisale ebirungi. BGPevents bwetegeka omukolo tukuletera n'abayimbi abasanyusa abagenyi bo saako kukola selection y'ennyimba ezigendera ku mukolo gwo. Essimu 0775868131 oba tusange Facebook page yaffe oba Twitter, YouTube ne Instagram. Blessed Charles, Blessed Gospel Promotions. BGPevents, twewaayo for excellence, flexibility, time, integrity.